I'm going to cut to the chase, folks. The price of gaming is getting steeper. Consoles and PC setups are getting pricier, the average cost of a AAA game is becoming more and more unreasonable, and it hasn't been dropping as of late. I'm Mr. J, and I will stand by what I'll be saying here in the year of 2026, as the price of gaming is too damn high.
Well, that's not good.
It should be no surprise I'm making this around the time of the Nintendo Switch 2's first anniversary, and as Steam is getting ready to release their Steam machine to the public. But seeing as I neither have a Switch 2 nor a computer that can run the fun games on Steam, a few of my friends who actually have the console and a powerful enough PC sent me some footage for you guys to enjoy. Gaming is a fun or unwinding pastime for many, myself included. Being able to break free of your worries for a little bit on a regular day, or a few hours on a weekend in a fictional world. Living out whatever fantasy you boot up to distract yourself for a short while from reality long enough so that you aren't losing your mind due to all the horrendous things happening right now. Or it's a slow day and you need something to perk you up. The problem is now our sources of entertainment are too expensive to enjoy or partake in. It's just hard to keep up or enjoy newer games and experiences when the machines cost, at minimum, $500. Hey folks, post-editing me here. So a few weeks before the release of this video, Insignios had clued me in to price hikes happening to the Switch 2 and the Steam machine, which the Switch 2 is now $50 more expensive, bringing the price up from $450 to $500. And allegedly with all the stuff on the internet, the Steam machine has gone from like $650 to like $950, so yikes. And that's not mentioning the price hikes happening with PlayStation and Xbox and their concurrent consoles. But in line with that, yeah, it makes me really glad that I rescued my PS5 from that stoner when I did. It'd be nice to have rescued a Switch 2 as well, but hey, can't win them all. Oh well. Anyways, this is post-editing me here. Please enjoy the rest of the video. Toodles. That begs the question, why are consoles so expensive? Well, to put this into perspective, when I was a child, consoles and computers before the 7th generation of gaming weren't that powerful. Games gradually reaching up to the point of PS2 and the Xbox had technical and visual limitations, memory cartridges or drives with a limited capacity of storage space, and developers working their butts off to get a finished product out within the parameters of their contracts. Then, as time progressed, and consoles like the PS3 and Xbox 360 came out, and by extension computers getting beefier hardware and slimmer designs, they were able to break away from their older limitations and show off more visually stunning graphics and worlds. Discs had more storage capacity, so developers attempted more complex mechanics and gameplay. And with data becoming easier to read, compress, and so on, dedicated console and computer storage meant a dramatic increase of storage in hard drives without breaking the bank in order to play them. At that point in time, I felt the gaming market had stabilized. You had loads of somewhat affordable games and numerous outlets to play them from. So what changed? Fast forward to when the 9th generation of gaming consoles rolled around, and that's when shit hit the fan. This was the era of super realism, where you could count the pores on a character's face, higher graphical fidelity, better rendering and lighting, you get the picture. But this meant that the hardware had to get beefier for mainstream AAA games, so developers and publishers could show off how spectacular it looks. Unfortunately, with all of this coming at the cost of a lot of AAA games becoming extremely poorly unoptimized as a result, taking up buttloads of storage space. Not only that, but artificial intelligence wasn't this new thing that appeared a couple years ago. It existed way before the 2020s, it was just in the background of technological advancements. Then once artificial intelligence was gradually coming to the foreground, and also around that time, crypto farms becoming more and more prevalent, they caused the price of hardware to jump. Why? Think about it. To run these operations, it takes a lot of memory and storage chips. So much so that these AI companies are buying them all up to the point where some chip manufacturers are leaving the consumer market altogether. Since it's mostly generative AI we're looking at, the primary computer components being gobbled up are CPUs, SSDs, motherboards, RAM, and just to be safe, let's throw graphics cards into the mix.
Fuck.
I jumped.
You jump from here?
Run and jump, yeah.
Okay. Oh!
Using Micro Center as a gauge, here's the rundown of how expensive your core computer parts will get. Going down the list of the most expensive parts, for a CPU, an AMD Ryzen 9000 series CPU is at $899.99. For motherboards, a AMD Crosshair Glacial will run you $1,299. For graphics cards, an AMD Radeon RX 9070 is $989.99. For solid-state drives, a WD Black 8TB SSD is $1,799.99. And for RAM, a Team Group T-Create 128GB RAM is $3,899.99. Totaling at a little under $8,800.
I got you. Oh no! I forgot!
What did you think would happen?
I forgot! Oh no!
And that's not mentioning the AI-centric parts, which at minimum will cost you like $10,000 a piece. It's not all doom and gloom though, because if we're looking at the cheapest options, an AMD 5500 is at $159.99, an AMD AM4 MATX is $62.99, an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3050 is $199.99, an Inland Platinum 256GB SSD is $149.99, and a Corsair Vengeance 16GB RAM is $239.99. Coming in at a steep but significantly cheaper $820. Mind you, that's all before tax, and without infrastructure like LAN cables, cooling units, internet connectors, housing cases and protectors, batteries, and screens. This also isn't to dissuade you from buying a PC or a console, but to help you understand just how much money is shifting hands at a given moment between all these entities and what the lowest, highest, and middle but top-rated equipment is. Some people have a few $1,000s to blow on a high-end Ultra 4K setup with all the bells and whistles. Some want the cheapest box to run their favorite games, and some want something in between that isn't super expensive but has beefier components than the cheapest setup. And the reason I'm saying all of this is because a lot of these parts will gradually get more expensive, as when they need to be built, the resources needed to build these electronics are all tied up in the hands and contracts of AI companies inflating the economy, meaning that we, the regular consumers, can't even buy the parts we want eventually. And it's like this one article states. RAM is 4 times more expensive because companies are buying up unmanufactured RAM with non-existent money to put into unmade GPUs for data centers that haven't been built, powered by non-existent infrastructure to satisfy a non-existent demand for profits, mathematically impossible to generate. Or in simpler terms, how can you afford a new setup or console when the necessary components are being bought out by companies and driving up the remaining consumer stock to ludicrous prices? Well, it makes it harder for those like the Gen Zers and above that don't make much. And it's like my dad always says, the rich get richer, and the poor ultimately stay where they are.
What? Goodbye. Ow! No!
You're just in the ground there, buddy.
Ow!
This is from a while ago, but I mentioned way back in my Mario Kart World Direct video that if the quality of living and the average minimum wage for the working class was increased, nobody would bat an eye at the price tag or anything like that. And I still stand by what I said. The reason being is because if the vast majority of working people in America were being paid a livable wage, and they had more disposable income, we wouldn't be rightfully ribbing and talking about the privileged baby boomers and the rich elite in a condescending and deserved manner. The issue with talking about a livable wage is anyone over the age of 60 thinks we're not working hard enough, when in reality the cost of necessities, utilities, emergencies, education, enrichment, personal infrastructure, and anything I've been showing on screen or haven't mentioned at all has risen dramatically in price. Not only that, but paraphrasing Philip DeFranco in his What's Happening in Trump's Economy video, we are in a massive hiring freeze and job drought where big businesses and companies are firing people in droves and turning to generative AI and bots to hoard money. So that's another massive hurdle a bunch of spoiled boomers will never understand us trying to overcome. And I do mean spoiled because it's not like everyone older than me is evil and stupid. They view the world with a completely different mindset because the status quo was flipped thanks to Ronald Reagan. Back then, groceries, gas, clothes, and even housing, basically all the necessities were reasonably priced, and it was the luxuries like restaurants, cafes, toys, computers, TVs, and video games that were expensive. But after the president, who was barely a movie star, name one film he was in from memory without relying on the internet, I dare you, prices began to shift. Companies were starting to increase the price of necessities since we literally can't live without them because they're, necessities. So we have to pay the prices or we die. By contrast, the price of all those luxury items began to stagnate and even decrease against inflation since people literally couldn't afford them because of the aforementioned price increases on necessities. And I'm going to keep using the word necessities because you will literally die without food and water and a home. They are necessary. And I've been told once or twice that I'll become more conservative as I get older, but I don't think that's true. I think people become more nostalgic as they get older, and that's why boomers still have it in their minds that frivolous things are more expensive than necessities when a phone bill is like $25 a month with included Wi-Fi, while food is $200 a month. If anything, I'll become more liberal as I get older, cause barely any of this decade has been worth remembering fondly. Boomers aren't inherently evil or stupid, they're just out of touch. But it comes off as evil and stupid when it messes with people's lives. Even with all that said, once you have your finances covered, your entertainment budget is whatever you have left over from making sure everything else is paid for. Which, considering the average adult in this day and age that still has a conscience and a shred of dignity, is not very much if I'm being honest. That's not even mentioning people below the poverty line who can't risk buying a console or other frivolous things because it means foregoing one or many major necessities. People below a certain threshold of earnings can't spend money on gaming like they're made of it because it means a whole slew of problems they can't deal with or pay back. Problems that can put them in the red instantly. It's in the vein of what my dad says every so often to me. Do you buy that new game or afford groceries for the week? And he's not wrong given the state of the economy. It's obvious that gaming has become expensive, and this isn't to be a negative Nancy, but to give you context to the situation. With me saying all of this, though, you might be thinking, so Mr. J, how does this affect you personally?
Can't kill me for like the next 15 seconds. Oh! Somebody!
What?
Right, we're almost there. There we go.
There we go. Alrighty. Good job.
Alright, Where's the goo?
Hasn't spawned in yet.
It's going to, right?
Are you kidding me?
What happened?
Second phase.
What?
Are you kidding me?
That's not normal.
That's rare. Welcome to a 4% chance.
Well, to be frank, it sucks big time for me. You see, for some brief but digestible lore of yours truly, my mother was never good at being a responsible adult. So in turn, she never helped me learn how to be a self-sustaining adult. So unfortunately, job hunting skills, marketing myself, being a productive and positive member of the community, and essentially having a grasp on any sort of political or social objects were not exactly in my wheelhouse. I mean, I have a couple of seasonal and part-time jobs, but that's it. The point of me saying all of that is because gaming for me is buying used PlayStation 2 and 3 games because my Switch and PS5 are reaching their storage capacity. Like, I scuttle around and go to yard sales or game shops hoping to find a good deal and not waste all my funds and savings like a slacker. And I hate it because I want a real job, a stable career. I want a full-time job not only to steer away from the unemployed drama on the internet, but to afford a really good PC setup so I can gradually make better videos and play games with my friends. I want a better computer because I feel isolated like when I was in my high school years, when I can't play games with Insignios and my friend group or my brother. I'm always on the sidelines, just chatting idly away for a few hours until I get tired and go to bed. Always watching everyone but never being able to participate or interact because half the games I want to play are on computer only. I want to enjoy climbing and peak, get scared playing Phasmophobia, Content Warning and Lethal Company, or goof off in Repo with everyone. I want to be able to enjoy Big Walk with my friend group when it comes out and make a video or two gushing about it with Insignios. But I can't enjoy any of these multiplayer or online games because my old-ass potato of a laptop can barely handle making long-form videos as it is. And the last time I tried playing a game on it a few years back, it almost crashed. Like, I don't mind playing Sky on Switch with my friends, but I want more variety. And a Steam Deck is also off the table for me because that thing is a glorified handheld console. Sure, it costs less than your average PC, but it also costs more than your standard video game console. So it sits on the boundary of being affordable, but also way too pricey for your average gamers. And looking real quick online, a lot of people are selling their used ones at the same or twice the price they bought it at, and at that point the money could go towards an actual computer setup. Why am I going to buy a dedicated handheld gaming device when almost twice the amount could net me a gaming setup and video editing studio? Can I run DaVinci Studio on the Steam Deck without jailbreaking it or going through 40 different loopholes? No, not that I know of or how to do.
Lou. What, do you want to try it?
No.
No. Should I try it?
Go for it.
Yes, absolutely.
Here's green. Oh! Amazing.
I don't want the world, you guys. I just want a computer that I can own and isn't leased or rented to me by Microsoft or Nvidia. I want to emulate old PlayStation and Xbox games so I'm not being bled dry by the predatory subscription and microtransaction market. I want to have fun with my friends and interact with them in-game without feeling left out of the fun or conversation. I want to have me time without burning myself out and being worked to the bone to make money I'll never see because it's being sucked up by unfairly hiked taxes, necessities I need to live that are gradually raising in price, and infrastructure that is slowly decaying due to crotchety old farts playing moronic political pageantry. Now, is this going to be permanent? No, far from it. But the rising price of gaming is part of a larger problem that creators like Philip DeFranco, the Some More News crew, and Zed Tabani have stated on occasion or gone in depth with. We're in an era where billionaires will gleefully cut jobs to keep their insulated lifestyle running. fire thousands to install a half-baked chatbot to save millions, and make sure to run the system so we don't get benefits, insurance, healthcare, or proper resources, so we're glued to these people and their practices until we die, and will lobby the hell out of the government to make it run for them and their interests. A government that's being pulled apart by the hinges, and the guardrails being cut off so the wealthy can take advantage of it. Seriously, how are tariffs on other nations and tax cuts for the ultra-wealthy supposed to put money back into our pockets and begin repairing the job market? Not to mention, we're stuck with the older generation telling us to go to college for higher education and then get mad when it doesn't yield us a job because those fields are empty or taken. And then they go on a long, brain cell killing tirade about how at your age, I already had a job, a house, a car or two, a loving wife, 4 kids, a mistress and her bastards, a pet, a vacation home for your grandparents, and money I could waste on frivolous endeavors, vacations, a startup side business, or own my own shop, and go to the movies every other week. While being insulated from the fact that until those programs were gutted by Reagan, these spoiled prunes had all these beneficial programs to ride off and take advantage of, and then call me lazy or a moocher for wanting them back. And a lot of the big names in gaming are looking to subtly push the market towards the online-only, microtransaction-filled, license distributing, subscription service-based model of selling games and selling the illusion that I own my own library. Games that can easily be stripped away from me if I so much as modify or use them however I want at a moment's notice. Games that if my account goes offline or gets stolen, they're gone forever. Games that businesses and companies will sue me out the ass over emulating, archiving, or preserving because their legal red tape or asinine practices make it nearly impossible for them to be played or brought back in any meaningful capacity. All of this culminates in games, consoles, and hardware being harder to buy because the world, the economy, and the job market are in such bad shape that it's hard for most people to be able to enjoy a game without that purchase coming back to bite them in the ass. Your average gaming grifter and dime-a-dozen commentator doesn't understand the conglomeration of all these factors because their petty, banal hatred for a company, game, or useless culture war takes precedent over solving the actual issues that plague the gaming sphere. It's a whole lot easier for some washed-up adult to piss all over Splatoon raiders or complain about women in gaming to flatten the curve of every issue that comes up, instead of addressing the fact that the government, corporations, spoiled old people, ignorant businessmen and poor business practices, and unchecked insatiable greed all play a role in why gaming feels so tiresome and frustrating to invest time and money into. I can't water down the significance or say it's one thing because all of these people vested in their own self-interests at the cost of our lives, our potential, are what caused gaming to become so expensive in the last decade. And I love gaming. I love having fun and goofing around for a short while. But I can't do that when the industry is strangling itself to death, manufacturers are taking a gamble with resources at the cost of long-term sustainability, and the current job market being as bountiful as the Dust Bowl. That's just not possible. How do all these people expect us, to keep the economy going, keep industries afloat, and create long-term solutions to issues that plague the gaming industry as a whole when we can barely afford anything? And look, I want to be positive out of anything right now, but shit's fucked, man. It's like, I can't lie to you and say, we're fine, everything's alright, we're doing perfectly normal, and we're okay, because it's not okay, folks. Literally nothing is okay in this situation. We're in a very precarious and very negative spot right now. But we have to persist, like it or not, because if we give up, we don't hold companies and businesses and the government accountable, because if we don't swallow our pride, we don't figure out how the system works so we can not have the game be skewed against us or rigged in the favor of another person, things are not going to get better. And I know not everyone likes Dr. Seuss, given the things that he's done that have come to light, but the whole unless quote really fits in the current climate of the world right now. And that being, unless someone like you cares a whole lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. There's undeniable merit to this quote because unless we actually give a shit about the economy, the government, the people in charge, the endless greed of man, and so on, nothing will change. Doing good and ensuring that the world shifts towards better and brighter things is a group project. If you don't care or kick the lazy son of a bitches behind next to you into gear, and we don't put an ounce of elbow grease into solving the situation we're in, don't expect prices to drop anytime soon. And don't expect the situation with gaming or owning a PC or console or whatever to be solved in any short amount of time, or any reasonable amount of time. We aren't making gaming less expensive for us, if I'm being completely honest. We're doing this now so gaming is less expensive for our kids and those after us. We can't solve these problems immediately, but we can deal with the consequences of these issues here and now, and we can prepare our children, our descendants, our inheritors with tools and teachings so that way in the future they have a better understanding of how to deal with the situation. So kids 100 or so years down the line can crack open a new game and aren't negatively affected by idiotic bureaucracy, corporate red tape, or financial issues. Gaming is expensive, but it won't be forever, and we can do a lot to ensure that situations like this don't happen in the future. We just kind of have to interact with society and put our best foot forward. Though before I go, a big shout out and thank you to my best friend and fellow content creator, Insignios. He provided a lot of helpful suggestions and edits over the course of me making this video, and he graciously provided B-roll footage knowing that I don't have a Switch 2 or a powerful PC. I'm really grateful to have a friend like you, Insignios. Thank you again. I'm Mr. J, and after this, I'm gonna go play some PlayStation 2 and 3 games because it's mental health time for me after this, and I need to have me time, you know? Gonna pop open a Mountain Dew, gonna eat some chips, gonna enjoy a nice tuna fish sandwich. I hope you all have a good afternoon. Peace out.
Fuck!
Okay, that's...
No! No! Help me!